All right, guys, we're back. Underrated power training. We're answering your questions, trying to give you the best answer to make you the best athlete on the field. Today's question is submitted by David. His question is, what's a good workout with dumbbells to get a stronger rotator cuff for throwing baseball and football? Dual sport athlete. I love it. Okay, so the rotator cuff. The rotator cuff, for those who don't know, is basically what helps keep your shoulder joint in its position. Okay, it's four minor muscles. It's the infraspinatus, supraspinatus, teres minor, and subscapularis. So four muscles help support the shoulder joint to keep it in its socket. Okay. Now, the simplest way to understand this is big weight trains big muscles, small weights train small muscles. Okay. So if we can understand that, we can kind of start to put together a program or a routine to help train that rotator cuff. So obviously, we're not going to use big weight to train the smaller stabilizers, the rotator cuffs. We're going to use smaller plates. So in your case, you have dumbbells. We don't want to use anything that's going to be heavy, okay? Because that's just going to stimulate and trigger the bigger muscles, the deltoids. I'm going to recommend to you the W to press. We're going to do some snow angels. We're going to do some internal rotations, some external rotations, and some lateral raises. Doing all of those exercises in a circuit is going to help strengthen all those four major, minor rotator cuff muscles. Okay, so make sure you go through that. This shouldn't be heavy. This shouldn't be a grind. It should be something light. Think something rehab type vibe, nice and easy. And you should be able to do a ton of reps. We're thinking about 15 to 20 reps without having to put them down. So you want to slowly build up that burn in the shoulder, and that's going to do a good job of specifically strengthening the rotator cuff. Okay? So David, take a look at those exercises. Make sure you're doing them correctly. Make sure that you're not going too heavy. And I want to see you get stronger and have a healthy shoulder. So let's take a look at those now. The W to press. What you're going to do is you're going to lay on your abs, and you're basically going to first complete a W where you first pull your shoulder blades down. Your thumbs are facing up. Elbows are towards your back pocket. You're going to pull your shoulder blades to your spine. From here, you're going to go into a press. Basically, think about stringing your arms overhead and then reversing back to the start. If you have any limitations in your lat mobility, if your lats are tight or your pecs are tight, you're going to really start to see that limitation. So this is a great way to test that, but it's also going to help strengthen your ability to have some good external rotation. So all the external rotators are getting work, and so that is the W to press. The Bandit Snow Angel. This is an awesome one because it's going to incorporate just about all the other exercises, the A's, the T's, the I's, the Y's, and it's going to seamlessly move your scapula, your shoulder blades in all these different positions. And if you have any limitations or any weak spots, you're going to be able to notice that and basically be able to work on it. So what you're going to do is you're going to anchor your bands shoulder height. Your arms are going to be straight the entire time. You want to make sure your body's set in place so your feet are directly underneath you. Your pelvis is neutral, it's not sticking back, and your torso is upright and rigid, basically ready to work. From here, you're going to start in an A, so you're going to pull your shoulder blades down, bringing the handles by your pockets, and keeping your hands even with your body. You're going to create the biggest snow angel you can. And as you go through that, you want to check in on your torso, making sure you're not leaning back, okay, making up for some limitations. And then from here, you're going to reverse back to the start position. Look at the speed, slow and controlled. This is going to help strengthen everything around your shoulder, your scapula, but also help you feel each individual position. Take your time, check in on your pelvis, your torso, feel your scapula shifting positions up and down. Good. You're gonna get a deep burn all over your back, and you're gonna notice your shoulder health go through the roof. Floor internal rotation. You're gonna lay on your abs, keep your toes down, and try and maintain that neutral pelvis. You're gonna get in a bully position, okay? Think about putting your hand behind your back, and your palm is gonna be facing up. So that is where the exercise is gonna start. Oh, make sure that the hand is as high up your back as possible. You don't necessarily want to go heavy to start. If you have never done this before, just using your hand is gonna help you a ton. If you want to put a baseball in your hand, go ahead. But you don't really want to start adding weight until you've done this for a few weeks, even a few months. So again, on your abs, toes are down. You're gonna take your hand, put it behind your back, and bring it up as high as you can. If you have any limitations in your shoulder, in your internal rotation, you're gonna notice it. From here, you're gonna lift your hand up as high as you can off your back, and then release it. Lift, hold for a couple of seconds, and then release it. You're gonna feel this tremendous stretching and strengthening in your shoulder as you hold the hand. So I'm gonna show you a few reps without the weight, and then release. One common mistake is letting the hand drift away towards your heels. Do not do that. Even a subtle amount changes the way the exercise works. So that's a really good exercise to open up mobility in your internal rotation. You want to make sure you do both sides. Start on your non-dominant side. You want to think about high reps, so maybe 10 to 15, even 20 reps. You don't need to do a ton of sets. Maybe 1 or 2 sets is enough. So that is the floor internal rotation. The banded external rotation. Here's what you're going to do. You anchor the band, shoulder height, or maybe slightly below shoulder height. Generally in that area is going to work for you. One of the keys here is to keep that elbow tucked in place, basically in against your rib cage. Do not let the elbow flare out or shift forward and back as you go through this. If you do that, it's going to change the muscles that are working. And so the key here is making sure this is in place, and we're emphasizing rotation and not any lateral movement. So in order to do that, you'll see people put a towel underneath their bicep so that they have that feedback of keeping their elbow tucked in place. But you can also just use your hand. So I'm going to take my hand, put it underneath my arm so that my bicep has a reminder of keeping that elbow fixed. And then from here, you want to create a 90-degree angle at your elbow between your humerus and your forearm. From here, you're going to externally rotate. So you're pivoting around the elbow, pulling out as far as your shoulder will allow. From here, you're going to control it back. You want to make sure you're also far out enough so that there's little tension in your tubing, in your band, so that there's a little resistance throughout the range of motion. That's going to be key. Cool. And as you go through that, make sure your shoulder blades, your shoulders are down, and then you're not elevating the shoulder, getting into your traps. We're trying to avoid that. So shoulder blade down, elbow tucked, and seeing how far we can externally rotate. That is the banded external rotation. Side-lying lateral raise. Now, this exercise, as just about every shoulder exercise, our goal here is to target the rotator cuff. And so because they are smaller muscles, we don't need a ton of weight, because if we do use heavy weights, we're gonna start to recruit the bigger muscles in the shoulder. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna lay on your side. We're gonna, again, use a lighter weight. And what you're gonna do is keep your arm long, and keeping your shoulder down, you're gonna lift the plate up to roughly 45 degrees. The goal here is to keep the rest of your body neutral. You're gonna lift up to about this position. The common practice, the common mistake is trying to go all the way overhead, but that's gonna change, again, the target muscle group. So 45 degrees. From here, you're gonna lower it back down, controlling the negative, and you're gonna repeat. Because it is such a light weight, it's gonna feel like you're not strengthening much to start, but as you get into your set, which is roughly 15 to 20 reps, you're gonna start to feel this buildup in the shoulder, And because it was done with a lighter weight, now you're going to be able to get into that rotator cuff. You don't need to do more than one, maybe 2 sets. You want to make sure you repeat on both sides. Even though we throw with one side, it's never a bad idea to keep both parts of your body healthy and even and symmetrical. There are some asymmetries, so there are some sides that we favor, we get it, but having that balance can never hurt. So especially when we think about longevity. Repeat both sides, maybe 15 to 20 reps, keep the weight low, and focus on that rotator cuff. So that is the side lying lateral raise.